Now we're going to look at list data types. A sequential data type called list. Now, what are Python lists? Lists are used to store multiple ordered items in a single variable. Now, a list is a collection of values, elements. The items in a list are mutable. This means that you can change their content without changing their identity. You can create a list using these square brackets. For example, you can have an empty list. This is an empty list. It has nothing. Let me see. Yeah. This is a value we've just inputted on here, and we've not saved it as a variable. It's just value, but you can see it's of class lists. Now let's see a list of prime numbers between 1 and 10. Now these are prime numbers between 1 and 10. This is 2, 3, 5, and 7. You can look at its type, see what it is. It's a list. It's a list of integers. Let's look at a list of strings. Let's say primary colors. This is a list of strings. Let's see here, type. Consist of class list. A list is a data type, a sequential data type. You can assign a list to a variable with the equal sign. Let's see. For example, I can say empty. You remember our empty list that we created? We can look at the type. It's a list, but we want to know. Let's print on the screen. Is of class lists, but it's empty. It has nothing, but it's still a list. Let's look at prime numbers. Let's save the prime numbers into this variable. So we're creating a list. As you can see, there's a prime number. There's a list of prime numbers. It's a class list with a list of prime numbers between 1 and 10, which is 2, 3, with values 2, 3, 5, and 7. We can even save the primary colors. Let me copy it to save time. As you can see, it's class list. These are a list of strings. It's type list, and you can print it on the screen so that you see how it looks like. There's a list of strings, primary color strings. There's another way that we can create lists using it's called a list constructor. We can also use a list constructor to create a new list. Let's see. We're going to create a secondary color, a list of secondary color. You use this function called list. Now you're not going to use the square brackets, but you're going to use this orange. Purple. As you can see, the type of this variable secondary color is list, and here is the list itself. But you see, we've not used the square brackets. We've just used the constructor list. This is the constructor list. Then this is how you create the list using the constructor. Lists can hold different basic primitive data types, that is numeric. Under numeric we have int, float, complex data types. Lists can hold strings, lists can hold boolean, and even lists themselves. For example, here we have a list with different data types, string and integer. We have the Tokyo Gold 2020, the Olympics. We have United States 39, China 38, Japan 27, Great Britain 22, and Kenya 4. Now when we check the type of this variable Tokyo Gold, we find that it's a list. So these are the values inside the list. We can have a list containing a list, list containing a sublist, like here. This is a list containing a sublist. As you can see, this is Tokyo Gold 2020 sublist. Now I've put each country and the gold in its own list. As you can see, this is a list, this is a list, this is a list, this is a list, this is a list. When you print the type, it's of class list. Print, this is how it looks. This is a list inside a list. You can add strings, you can add int, you can add boolean values. Now let's look at subsetting lists. Python uses index to select elements of a list. The first element in the list has index 0, the second has index 1, and etc. So this is the first element in a list. This is the second element, this is the third element, the fourth element, the fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, and 10th element. But the index starts from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now let me show you how this appears on a diagram. Let's see. These are the elements of the list for Tokyo 2020. These are the index 0, that is the positive indexing, which starts from 0, and this is the negative indexing, which starts from -1. The end of the list, the negative indexing starts from -1. As you can see here, United States, this position 1, but index is 0. This position 2, but index is 1. Position 3, index is 2. Same case from behind. The last value is 4, which is index -1. With positive indexing is 9. Negative indexing is position -1. Kenya, position A, its position, it's index 8, but with negative indexing, it's -2. Now, how much gold did Japan get? How much gold did Japan get? It's the 6th element with index 5. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the 6th element, but the index is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we print index 5. We've gotten the element here, index 5. We can use negative indexing to achieve the same result, like this one. Use negative indexing to get the amount of gold Japan got. It's the 6th element and index -5. As you start from here, let us go back. This is the element that you want, the value that we want. From negative indexing, you come here. This is -1, -2, -3, -4. It's -5. There it is. There's something to note that positive indexing starts at 0, while negative indexing starts at -1. Positive indexing starts at 0, negative index starts at -1. Now let's look at subsetting and calculation. We can subset list and do some calculation. Get the total number of gold in Tokyo 2020 list variable. Now, this variable, this is a list variable. We want to get the total number of gold. And this is how you do it. Tokyo gold. Now, this, you do the variable itself and the index. Here. Now you take the variable itself, the list variable itself, and the index. This is index 1. The variable itself and the index 3. The variable itself and the index 5. This is just a break. so that I can fit this instead of continuing with the code. I can now come back here and use it the next line. So I use this backlash. Tokyo goal variable number 7, which is here, index number 7, which is here, and Tokyo gold 9. Now we are adding these values, and these values are integers, so it's possible to do the addition. Now the total number of gold in this list variable is 130. Now let's look at subsetting list. List of lists, sorry. Let's look at subsetting list of lists. A Python list can contain practically anything, even other lists. You can subset the list of lists by using the square brackets. For example, copy this. This is a list of lists. We have this list, this one, and this one. Now, if I want to subset, this list is index 0, and this list is index 1, and this list is index 2. And this list index 0 has elements in it. This is element index 0, element 1 but index 0, element 2 but index 1, element 3 but index 2. Now if I want to print this one, this element with value D, now I'll print the variable itself, the list variable itself, x. I'll come here, this is index 0, this is index 1, this list index 0, this list index 1, and this element 0. So I'll put in brackets the list itself. Then I'll choose the element, which is 0. Now let's see what it gives us. There it is. Now if I want to do, let's say, element I, this value I can say first I start with the list index. This is 0, 1, 2. This is list 2. Now I can either this list index 0, 1, 2, index 0, index 1, index 2, index 2. I get I. Though I can use the negative index. Now with negative indexing, this list negative 1, index negative 1, so because now we start from negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. Now this element is, with positive this is 0, 1, 2, but with negative this is negative 1. There it is, I. Now let's get our list of lists for the Tokyo sub. Now this is our list of lists, Tokyo sub. You see this is a list, this is a list, There's a list, there's a list, there's a list. Now, if I want to get this list, this value for Japan, now I want to get the values for Japan on this list of lists. So this is list index 0, index 1, index 2. I've gotten the values for Japan. Now get values for Japan from Tokyo 2020 sublist variable using negative indexing. Now this value, this will be negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. So I'll print and there you have it, the value for Japan. It's 27. Now, if I want to get the goal for Kenya, this value only, I just need the goal for Kenya, not the whole value for Kenya. I can use negative indexing. Now let me use positive indexing first. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 4. Then the sublist is what? 0, 1. It's 1. There it is, the value is 4. Now if I want to use negative indexing to get the goal for Kenya, this is negative 1, negative indexing, and the sublist itself is negative 1. This is negative 1, negative 2. There is the value itself. Now let's look at list slicing. Let's look at list slicing. List slicing allows you to select multiple elements from a list, thus creating a new list. You can do this by specifying a range using a colon. Now, this is a variable, Tokyo Gold. This is the values. These are the values. Now let's return elements 9 and 10. This element 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. It will be under index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Index 8. And 9. Now it's index 8, so it's index 8 and 9, and you know with slicing, when I put 9 here, it will only give me this because 9 will not be included. It won't give me this one. Let's try and see. It's Kenya only. Now for me to get the all elements so that 9 is included, we put here 10. There it is, so that it's from 8 and 9 inclusive. this index 10 is not included. Now we can return index. We can return elements with index 2, 3, 4, and 5. From index 2 to index 5. Now from index 2 to index 5, now we won't put 5 because 5 will be excluded, so we're going to put 6. Elements with index 2 is index 0, index 1 is index 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're going to get China details and Japan details. So let's see. There it is. Elements with index 0, 1, 2 from index 2 to index 5. There it is. We can return elements from index 0 through 5. Now this one will give us elements from 0 through 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But remember, if we put 5 here, we won't get this one, so we have to put 6 so that this one can be included. You see element 0, return elements from index 0 through 5. This is how you do it. What if you want to return elements from index 4 to the last element? Zero, 1, 2, 3, 4 is from Japan to the last element, Kenya, which is gold for gold. There it is. Return elements from index 4 to the last element, which means it's here. This is index 4 through the last element, which is Kenya. Now we can return values for Great Britain using negative indexing. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. So what negative 3 will do. Now you see negative 3 is not included. So if we want to include negative 3, we're going to do this. Negative 1, negative 2. Okay, you see. Negative indexing, the values for Great Britain from negative 4, which is this one, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 3. But we can't put here negative 3 because it's going to be left out when you're doing slicing. You can't just choose that value, that index value. You choose the next value, which is negative 2, so that negative 3 can be included. So we have Great Britain here. Now let's look at list manipulation. Manipulation of list. List manipulation represents ways you can change list elements, add list elements, and remove list elements. List manipulation includes if you want to change list elements. Remember we said a list is mutable, which means you can change the elements in a list. So if you want to change the values in a list, this is what you're going to look at now. Now I have a list for my grocery. These are the values. We have kale, spinach, cauliflower, and the numbers. Now I can change list element at index 9 from 33 to 20. Where's index 9? Let's look. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 33. So I need to change this value from 33 to 20. How do we do that? I take the variable itself, I take the index where the variable is, and I print the value that I want to change. Now this is 33. The value I need to change is it's 20. Sorry. Now this is how you do it. You don't print it on the screen, but this is how you do it. Fruits. Now if I go back and print you'll see here the elements from index 9 is now 20, which is lemons. Lemons was 33, now lemons is 20. This is what I've done. Print the value of index 9, change it to 20. Now I can change list elements, change the list element of index 2 from spinach. This is index 2, index 1, index 0, index 1, index 2. From spinach to baby spinach. This is what I'm going to do. Now there I've changed the element at index 2 from spinach to baby spinach. Now we can add elements in a list, like extending the list. For example, in my grocery list, I can add bananas with value 26. So I'll check. I'll take the variable, save it to the same variable. Then add the list itself. Sorry. Bananas, value 26. Then I can print as you can see, I've added the details for bananas. And remember we said list is a sequential data type. The way you put it in is the way you get it out. As this is what we put in up to here, apples 40. Now we've added bananas. Now it has gone next to the value apples. What if you want to delete the elements of a list? Like let's say you want to delete the value for cauliflower, which is this one and this one. Now this is the list fruits, veggies. What if I want to delete this one, cauliflower, these details, cauliflower 12, which is index what? Index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I want to delete elements of a list. To remove elements from your list, use the delete the del statement. Delete cauliflower details from the list. This is how I'm going to use. Now I'm going to put index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Index 4 and 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 5, and you know with indexing we can't just put 5 here. We're going to do 6. If I do 5, it won't include this one. Now, as you can see from the original fruit veggies list, cauliflower was here. And this one, what we've done, we have deleted the details of cauliflower. And remember, once you act on a list, the value of that list changes. So when you act on this list again, when you act on this list again, if I want to act on it won't have the original value because lists are mutable. Now, if I've changed this list value, it won't be like the original one. I've already deleted one element. Now, if I come here and say print again, this fruit veggies, it will be like the original one, fruit with cauliflower. It will be without the cauliflower. Yes, there it is. Let's talk about adding list items. You can add items to a list. You use the append method to add elements to the end of the list. For example, now there's a list of fruits. That's fruits 1 with apple, banana, cherry. Now if I want to add another element here, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this method. I want to add pair. As you can see, pair has been appended to the end of the list. You can also add an item at a specified index. Use the insert method to insert an item at a specified index. For example, in this list of apple, banana, and cherry, insert orange at index 1. This is how you're going to do. You put the index where you want to put, then you put the value. As you can see, we've inserted orange on index 1. This is index 0, index 1. This is the original list for fruits 2. It only had apple, banana, cherry. And now we've inserted on index 1, this 0, 1 here, orange. We can extend a list from another list. extending a list, use the extend method to append elements from another list to the current list, and the elements of a fruits, add the elements of fruit 4 to fruits 3. Let me put the value of the list. Now from here, add the elements of fruit 4 to fruit 3. Now we're adding this one, these elements, into these ones. We're going to use as you can see now, the value of fruit 3 has been extended with the value of fruit 4 from mango, papaya, avocado. Remember, this is a sequential data type. The way you put items in is the way you get out. Now, remember this fruit C starts with apple, banana, cherry, which is here apple, banana, cherry. Then we added this mango, papaya, avocado. Mango, papaya, avocado. Now, this is the way it will come out. The way you put in a sequential data type is the way you get out a sequential data type. Now, let's talk about removing items from a list. You can remove a specified item from a list. You use the remove method to remove specific items from a list. Let's give an example. Remove papaya from fruits 3. Variable, let's print fruit 3. This is fruit 3. Now we want to remove papaya from this list. As you can see, this is the original one, fruit 3 with papaya. Now, when we use the remove method, we've removed papaya from this list. We can remove a specified index from the list. We use the pop method to remove a specified index. You have to specify the index, or the pop method will remove the last item. Now, we can use the pop method to remove a specified index in the list. Now here, remove the third element. This is fruits 5, and we want to remove the third element, which this is element 1, element 2, element 3, cherry. We want to remove cherry from there, from this. Now we want to remove cherry from here. This is element 1, element 2, element 3, and this is index 0, 1, 2. This is index 2. This is how you're going to do it. Now here, if you don't specify the index, it will remove the last item. So we want to remove cherry, which is index 0, 1, 2. As you can see, cherry, we've removed cherry from using the pop method. We've removed cherry value. Remember, you can also use the del keyword to remove the specified index. Now remove the first item from this fruits list: apple, banana, cherry, mango, papaya. So we are going to remove the first item using the del keyword. As you can see, we've removed the first element, which is apple, which is index 0 here. Remember, you can delete the entire list. For example, you use the del keyword to delete the entire list. Let me copy For example, this is list 7. Now, if I want to delete this entire list, list 7, this one, I use the delete keyword. I'll get an error, and fruit 7 is not defined. As you can see here, we had defined fruit 7 and we printed out on the screen the values of fruit 7, but when you use the del keyword on this variable, this object, when we print again fruit 7 for the elements, we get an error, name error. Fruit 7 is not defined, which means we have already deleted the object fruit 7. Sometimes instead of deleting the list itself, you want to clear the list so that you can have an empty list. What you do, you use the clear method to empty the list. The list still remains, but the list has no elements. For example, I have a list here, list 8. Fruits 8, sorry. These are the values for fruits 8 list. Now, if I want to clear it, I'll use the clear method. And if I print, I have an empty list. I've not deleted the list, but I've removed the elements of this list. I've removed these ones, these elements. Now what I have is an empty list. Now let's look at sorting lists. You can sort lists alphanumerically. That is numerically, then alphabetically. Now you can use the sort method to sort the list alphanumerically. Ascending is default. Now this is our list. Now if I want to sort this list alphanumerically, this is what I'm going to do. As you can see, it has sorted alphanumerically. This is apple. This list had apple, banana, cherry, mango, papaya, avocado. But now, when I've used sort method, I have apple, avocado, then banana, cherry, mango, papaya. This sort is actually in ascending order. Now, if you want to sort in descending order, let's sort this fruit 9 in descending order. To sort it in descending order, you say there's a keyword you use, reverse equals true. This argument, reverse equals true. There's a Boolean value. Now, as you can see, this one, when you use sort without any arguments, you have sorting the elements of the fruits in ascending order. But if you use the argument reverse equals true, we've sorted the elements of the fruits in descending order. The sort method is usually case sensitive by default. So it will sort first if you have papaya with a capital letter, then a papaya here with a small letter, it will sort first the papaya with the capital letter, then the papaya with the small letter. But if you want to sort case insensitive sort, for example, this is cherry, banana. This banana is small letters. It starts with a small b. Apple, avocado, apricot. Now I want to do, let's first do now this is the default sort. As you can see, apple, avocado, cherry, these are capital letters. It has sorted past the capital letters, then it has gone to the small letters. Now, if you want to a case insensitive sort, this is what you do. A case insensitive sort, you use the keyword string.lower. Now, as you can see now, this is the case insensitive sort. We have apple, we have apricot, we have avocado, we have banana, we have cherry. But from this one is the default sort without any arguments. It will sort first the capital letters. Then after finishing the capital letters, then it will go up to the small letters. But when you use this keyword, string lower, it will sort first. It won't start with the capital. It's a case insensitive. So it will start with this one. Then it will go with the small letters, the capital letters, like AP, then banana, then cherry. Now let's talk about copying a list. In Python list, you cannot copy a list typing like list2 equals to list1. By doing this, list2 will only be a reference to list1, and changes made to list1 will automatically be reflected in list2. We have several ways to make a copy of a list. They include copy and list method. For example, let's say wrong way to copy list. Now this is the wrong way of copying list. List1 equals to 1, 2, 3, 4. List2 equals to list1. Now I've said this is like you are referencing list2 equals to list1. When I type this list, you may think that you've copied the same list because now this is list1, this one here. Let me first do this. As you can see, list1, list2. You may think this is the same list. Now, if I do this, list1.append, I've added the value 20 on list1. Let's see what will happen to list2. As you can see, I've added only on list1 the value 20. But when I come to list2, the value 20 is also being added at the end of the list. Now, to copy a list the right way so that when you change the first value of the list, it doesn't affect the second value of the list when you copy the copy of your list. This is how you're going to do it. Copy a list using the copy method. Now this is from tools, the fork record SQL. Now to copy this list, I can say with the copy method, I can say you can create a variable from tools 2. I can say from tools 1, which is this one which I want to copy, with the copy method. Now if I print this, I have a copy of from tools 1, exact copy. Now if I add the farm tools 1, the value garden hoe, here it is garden hoe, it won't affect farm tools 2. And like the first, the one we used for referencing, list 1, list 2, this one has remained intact. Yes, it was a copy of farm tools 1, but when we add garden hoe on farm tools 1, it didn't affect farm tools 2. Farm tools 2 remained with the same values, initial elements. Now you can copy a list using list function. For example, now if I want to copy this farm tools 1 onto farm tools 3, as you can see, we've used the list function to copy farm tools 1. And you can see this one has the included because we had changed the list. Now we have even the garden hoe here. We have the elements of farm tools. This element is the same as farm tools 1 here. These elements, we've copied these elements onto farm tools 3 list. Now let's look at functions that work with lists. Remember we said a function is a piece of reusable code. The first function you're going to look is the type function. The type function will print the class, returns the class type of an object. Now this object fruits 10, as we've printed here, it has given us the values of 10, and the type function will tell you what class that object belongs to. If you don't know what that the class that the object belongs to, you use the type function, this type function. Let's look at the max function in list. The max function returns the highest value from the imputed values. Now, this is an object price 1 with the values, Now, if you want to know the max values of this, the maximum of these values, use the max function. Remember, a function takes an object as an input, but a method will act on this object. If this was a method, max, we'll say, if this max was a method, for it to act on, we'll say price dot max. But since this is not price1.max, but this is not a method, this max function, this is a function, it will take an object as an input. So this is prices 1. The maximum of these prices is 450. As you can see all here, this is the maximum of all these values. Now, the minimum function returns the lowest value from the imputed values. So we can say minimum prices 1. Now, as you can see, this is 100, this value here. It's the minimum of all these values. The length function gives us the length of the list, this list. If you want to know the length of this list, you use the length function. The length is 8. As you can see here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. This is the length of this list. Let's look at looping lists. We can use a for loop to loop through a list. This is the value of prices 1. Now, if you were using a for loop, we'll look at for loops later. For x in, prices 1 is the object. Print x. Now, as you can see, it has looped, it prints print x, the first value, then it print x, the second value, then it print x, the third value, looping until the end. This is how it has given the value, print the value on the screen. We can also loop through a list items by referring to the index number. We use the range function and length function to create a suitable iterable. Now, print all items of list prices 1, this object, by referring to their index numbers. Now we're going to refer to, this is index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you're going to use the range function and the length function to create a suitable iterable. I in range. So this is the range function. Then we want the length of this list. Then we use the length function instead of the range function of prices 1. Then we print prices 1. referencing the index. This is going to create an iterable index of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's see what it gives us. Here, it has looped through the index 0 with the value, index 1 with the value, index 2 with the value, the iterable created in the example above is 0. This is index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll look at for loops later in depth and you'll understand what for loops are. We can even use a while loop. So print all items of list presses one variable using a while loop to go through all the index numbers. So first we initialize the I. First for the index, then while I less than length Now this is using the while loop from index 0 to the last index. Now this concludes our journey through list data types, a sequential data type called list. Now we're going to look at a data type called tuple, a sequential data type called tuple. Python tuples. Tuples are used to store multiple ordered items in a single variable. Tuples are immutable, that is, the items in a tuple cannot be modified. Thus, a tuple is a collection which is ordered and unchangeable. You can create a tuple using the round brackets. A tuple can allow duplicate values. A tuple is just like a list, but now we use the round brackets to create them. List we use the square brackets, now tuples we use the round brackets. So for example, Leo favorite colors, so we say now this is a tuple. As you can see, the round brackets, Leo favorite colors, which is red, blue, and tick. This is how you create a tuple. The type, let's print the type of this. As you can see, the type of this object, Leo colors, this one is a tuple. And just like lists, tuples are indexed and can allow duplicates. I can say as you can see, tuples can allow, because they're indexed, they can allow duplicates. There's red, there's blue, there's tick, then there's blue, there's red. Now, these tuples are just like lists. The only difference with these tuples, you remember lists, we were able to change, their methods to change the values of lists, but tuples, you cannot change any value here. If you want to change this value, you have to change the tuple into a list, then change the value, then convert that list back to a tuple. You can also create a tuple with one element. But to do so, you have to add a comma. Let's say Leo. If I do this, I'm going to get a string. As you can see, if I do this one like this without a comma, it's going to see it as a string. But if I want to add just that one element but make it be a tuple, I have to add a comma. Then as you can see, it's class tuple. A tuple can contain different data types. For example, now there's a different, this is a string, there's an int, there's a string, there's an int. You can even add Boolean value. You can even add a list. Let me see if I can add a list. There's a comma. Yeah, there it is. This is a tuple with a list. This one with a Boolean value, with an int, with a string, an int and a string. I can even add a float. There it is. Here's a float. So a tuple can contain different data types. We can create a tuple using the tuple constructor. Let's say there's the function tuple constructor, and then banana, cherry, 1, 2.90, 2.98, male, female. As you can see, I've used the constructor to create this tuple. We have banana, cherry, 1, 2, 2. This value 1, 2.98. Then we have a list here also. Now, tuples are immutable. You cannot change these values once you've created them. You cannot change them. And if you really want to change them, you can change them into a list using the list constructor. Then change the values, then change them back to a tuple. Tuples are immutable. That is, you cannot change a tuple's value once it's created. Though if you really want to change the values of a tuple, change the tuple into a list, then work on the list and change the list back to a tuple. Now this concludes our series of sequential data types. Hope it has been helpful to you. The next session we're going to look at dictionaries. Kindly like, subscribe, and give me a thumbs up. May you be blessed.